World Championship Group A rallying came to the Southern Hemisphere for the first time for the 1987 Rally of New Zealand. The organisers had been concerned that the advent of full Group A rallying would make it difficult to attract sufficient numbers, so the 51 cars that started the event was a relief. Major interest would focus on the battle for the 3 FISA A priority seedings that a top 3 placing would automatically bring. Volkswagen was the only full works team entered. The New Zealand Rally represented the best chance for their first World Rally Championship win. Sweden's Stig Blomqvist led the field away. He drove the local work-spec Ford Sierra 4x4 of Gary Smith. With co-driver Bjorn Sederberg coming out of retirement for the event, Blomqvist was looking to repeat his 1984 win in the event. Kenneth Eriksson was second seed. He'd impressed local rally followers last year with his driving style and determination. After a good start to the 1987 season, a series of 3 successive DNFs made Eriksson keen to do well. His 2-wheel drive 16-valve Golf GTI was, however, giving away power and traction to the other top cars. Neil Allport was the top New Zealand seed. He had a realistic chance of an A priority seeding, despite the fact that he only finished preparing his 4-wheel drive Mazda just days before the event and hadn't yet driven it in anger. Austrian Franz Wittmann returned to New Zealand, also chasing an A priority seeding. Driving a Lancia Delta HF 4-wheel drive turbo similar to the factory cars that had already won the World Manufacturers' Championship, Wittmann had an excellent chance of scoring his first WRC win. New Zealander Possum Bourne, starting 5th in the works Subaru RX Turbo, also had his eyes on an A priority seeding. He was using Michelin tyres specially designed for local conditions. Australian David Officer, driving a Mitsubishi Starion Turbo, was competing in his first World Rally Championship event. Both he and Wayne Bell were determined to prove to local skeptics that Australians could indeed be competitive drivers. Local driver Paddy Davidson was offered a Works Nissan 200SX shortly before the event. Last used at the Acropolis Rally, where it retired early, Davidson's Nissan represented a largely unknown quantity, although Davidson was keen to repeat his excellent effort in the 1986 event. Japan's Yasutoshi Kano had difficulty with the hatchback on his turbo starlet. The dubious honour of first retirement went to Chris Joblin and his Group N Suzuki Swift GTI. He hit a curb and crawled his way through on 3 wheels to withdraw. After the first publicity stage in the Domain, the cars headed for the road skirting Riverhead Forest. Blomqvist could only record 6th fastest time, but was having diff problems. The car was only completed 2 days before the event, and Blomqvist was only able to drive it in a brief practice session. Kenneth Eriksson set the early pace. He scored the fastest time on the stage and held a narrow 9-second lead. The challenge for the lead came first from local drivers. Neil Allport set 2nd fastest time. At this early stage, he was 2nd equal. Ray Wilson set third fastest time on the 16.4 kilometre stage. He was only a second behind Allport. He surprised his rivals with his speed. Wayne Bell currently leads the Australian National Rally Championship. Like Officer, he was driving in his first World Rally Championship event. Paddy Davidson was taking a little while to come to grips with his 200 SX Nissan. Koichi Hazu was the highest seeded of 6 Japanese drivers in the event. He's competed successfully in the RAC and was third in the Japanese National Championship last year. He made a cautious start. The pre-event hard luck story belonged to Car 20. Driver Robert van Giesbergen broke his elbow in a workshop mishap a week before the rally. Kevin Hinchcliffe was a late replacement and he took a while to find his feet. Worse was to come. Hinchcliffe totally wrecked the car in the second last stage of the leg. The Riverhead stage was followed by a 3-lap romp around the Alexandra Park trotting track. The cars ran in groups of 4 at 10-second intervals. For Stig Blomqvist, the stage was a disaster. He blew the rear differential and lost 18 minutes while the crew frantically changed the gearbox on the side of the road. Another publicity stage around Manukau City was followed by the first of 2 stages in Maramarua Forest. Neil Allport led the charge and set fastest time on special stage 5. He was only 12 seconds behind early leader Kenneth Eriksson. Possum Bourne set second fastest time in the stage. He flew through 1 second slower than Allport. Franz Whitman set equal fastest time on the Manukau stage, but lost 14 seconds to Allport in this stage. He was 4th overall, 16 seconds behind Eriksson. With his Metro 6R4 no longer eligible to compete, Tony Teasdale secured a drive in Rally President Maury Chandler's Mazda 323 4-wheel drive turbo. His cautious beginning saw him in 10th place overall at this early stage of the event. Local driver Ken Adamson pushed his rear-wheel drive Toyota Corolla into 11th place and second in class behind Australian Wayne Bell. Neil Allport proved wrong the pundits who claimed he'd have difficulty adjusting from his Mazda RX-7 to the smaller 4-wheel drive 323 turbo. In special stage 6, he again set fastest time, equal with Kenneth Eriksson. Eriksson continued to lead the event narrowly. He showed that 2-wheel drive need not be a handicap, extracting maximum performance from his 16-valve Golf GTI. Blomqvist's earlier problems meant he was now running only rear-wheel drive. This didn't stop him setting third fastest stage time, but he was in 48th place, 18 minutes, 40 seconds down on the leader. Ray Wilson's legendary near total recall of the Maramarua stages saw him put up two very fast times. He was third equal overall with Whitman, 21 seconds behind Ericsson. An oil leak was causing his car to smoke. South Islander Brian Stokes made a cautious beginning in his locally built Sierra 4x4. He was content to let the others charge ahead at this early stage. Paddy Davidson was 6th overall. The 5 front runners were setting such a hot pace that a 44-second gap had opened up from the 5th placed car of Possum Bourne. New Zealand Junior Rally champion Robert Hart was plagued by clutch and gearbox problems nearly all day and fell back in the field. Ross Meekings drove in his usual aggressive manner, delighting the crowds. He battled closely all day with Mark Jennings' Starlet in the baby car class. At this stage, Meekings was 12th equal with Jennings. Japan's Surging Taguchi was putting up one of the drives of the day. Driving a Group N Mazda 323 four-wheel drive, he began in 55th place, but constantly beat many of the Group A cars, ending the day in 13th placing overall. Some drivers, however, seem to want to take different lines through the forest. Franz Whitman began special stage 8, 14 seconds down on leader Ericsson, and as the rally moved into darkness, he set fastest times on the day's last 3 stages and ended the leg first overall with a lead of 26 seconds. Kenneth Ericsson led the rally for most of the first leg's daylight stages. He began to be plagued by misfiring in his car and gradually lost the overall lead to Whitman's Lancia. Neil Alford set second fastest time on special stage 8 and was lying second overall, just 7 seconds behind Ericsson. Problems in special stage 10 with a broken brake caliper and puncture saw Allport end the leg in 8th position, 6 minutes 36 seconds down on the leader. Possum Bourne continued his steady progress, recording a series of excellent times. He ended the leg 3rd overall and at 45 seconds down on the leader, close enough to challenge on the next leg. Wayne Bell was 7th at stage 8. He put up some fast times in the night stages ahead to be 4th overall at the end of the leg. He led the 1600cc class, 3 minutes 45 seconds down on the leader. Stig Blomqvist was making a determined charge through the field. He set third fastest time on this stage and fastest on special stage 9, but his effort and rally came to an abrupt halt in special stage 10 when he hit a bank and had to withdraw. Brian Stokes began stage 8 in 9th place. A determined drive saw him make up 16 seconds on Tony Teasdale on the leg's remaining stages to hit him by 3 seconds and lie 5th overall. There'd been a torrid battle all day in the 1300cc class between Mark Jennings and Ross Meekings. Jennings struck problems late in the leg and ended the day in 11th place overall and second in class to Meekings. Meekings drove incredibly well to have his 1300cc Corolla in 9th place overall by the end of the leg, leading the small car class by 30 seconds. Ken Adamson put up a steady, consistent drive all day, ending the leg 10th overall and second in the 1600cc class, 3 minutes 33 down on Bell. The 9.7 kilometre old Mountain Road stage was won by Ray Wilson. He was 5th overall at this stage, 22 seconds behind the leader and a clear minute ahead of Davidson in 6th place. Wilson's rally, however, ended in special stage 10 when the fan belt broke. A replacement was fitted in stage, but this also failed and he withdrew. So at the end of the first leg, the leaderboard showed the Lancia of Frans Whitman in front by 26 seconds from the Golf of Kenneth Eriksson. New Zealander Possum Bourne was third, 45 seconds behind the leader. Wayne Bell was fourth, 3:45 behind Whitman. Brian Stokes in the Sierra 4x4 was fifth, and Tony Teasdale behind Stokes in 6th place. Leg 1 saw 12 retirements, most notable Stig Blomqvist's Sierra 4x4. Ray Wilson with overheating through fan belt failure. Kevin Hinchcliffe totally wrecked his Corolla. Steve Willey overheated his Corolla. Warwick Smith broke an axle on his Starlet, and Satoshi Oka put his Corolla over a bank. Leg 2 began with a 2.3 kilometre race around the streets of Rotorua. Frans Whitman set the pace, tearing around fastest in 1 minute 46 seconds. Others took different lines and delighted the large crowd that had turned out to watch the stage. The second stage of the day was 29.7 kilometres through Artiamuri Forest. Ericsson set fastest time, closing the gap on Whitman to just 19 seconds. Neil Allport immediately set about making up his deficit. He recorded second fastest time on the stage and beat Davidson by 22 seconds and Teasdale by 62. Possum Bourne set fourth fastest time, but lost a little time to both Whitman and Ericsson. Wayne Bell was still fourth, but began to progressively lose time on the leaders. He was slowed by an electrical fire under the dash. Davidson began to put pressure on Teasdale. He began the leg 30 seconds behind and gradually began to pull back time. Davidson beat Teasdale by 40 seconds in this stage to move ahead of him. Mark Jennings continued his battle with Ross Meekings for the small car lead. He beat Meekings by 49 seconds on this stage, taking a narrow class lead. Serging Taguchi continued to impress with his times. He led the only other Group N car, the Suzuki Swift of Murray Walker, by nearly 14 minutes. Unfortunately for Taguchi, he rolled his Mazda heavily in the next stage and withdrew. A series of special stages followed near Taumarunui. For Kenneth Ericsson, the 6 stages after the forest were frustrating. He lost 5th gear in his Golf and began to lose contact with Whitman. By the end of special stage 18, the gap had opened to 1 minute 17 seconds. He could do little but let the gap grow until a new gearbox was fitted. Neil Allport continued to drive magnificently. On special stage 16, he again set second fastest time. But on stage 17, his Mazda expired and Allport's rally was over. With Ericsson having problems ahead of him, Possum Bourne suddenly started to threaten for second placing. He beat Ericsson on 6 stages in the morning to close the gap to just 26 seconds at the end of special stage 18. Tony Teasdale responded to Davidson's challenge and raised his own tempo. On special stage 16, he got ahead of him, and by special stage 18, led Davidson by 25 seconds. Teasdale was now 4th overall. Davidson now trailed Brian Stokes and was in 6th place, but made the most of a Stokes stall in special stage 18 to move ahead into 5th place. David Officer began the second leg 12th and gradually began to work his way through the field. At the end of special stage 18, he was 8th, but more than 5 minutes behind Wayne Bell, who was 7th. Mark Jennings continued to battle with Ross Meekings, but a problem in special stage 18 cost him 13 minutes in penalties and left Meekings clearly ahead in the small car class. Koichi Hazu continued to drive his Gemini Turbo with care. He began the leg in 14th place and progressively worked his way to 9th by the end of the leg. David Ayling drove the ex-Rodmillan Mazda 323 Turbo. He was making good progress through the field and was challenging for a top 10 spot when his gearbox failed at the start of special stage 22, forcing him out of the rally. While Whitman continued to make the pace ahead, Ericsson struggled with his failed fifth gear. His lack of outright top speed meant Possumbourne continued to set faster times, and by the end of special stage 20 had closed the gap to 15 seconds. Davidson and Teasdale were still battling for fourth place. At the end of special 20, Davidson trailed by just 19 seconds.
At the moment, you're the first South Island driver. Have you got any comments about that?
Oh yeah, it's all these Aussies and the North Islanders that we're really having a few troubles with, but we'll keep at it, yeah.
While Brian Stokes may have had time to joke before the start of special stage 20, he was to make little further progress. He hit a bank in the stage, getting 2 punctures and damaging the suspension, causing him to withdraw. Wayne Bell continued to lose time on the leaders. His car finally stopped in the next stage with a camshaft drive belt failure, ending his rally prematurely. With Bell's demise, local driver Ken Adamson suddenly found himself leading the 1600cc class. He had a 15-minute cushion to his nearest rival. As darkness approached, the rally headed across the central plateau to the Desert Road area. The 17.7-kilometre Karioi Forest stage featured several Fords, most notably one at the end of the stage. With a roadside gearbox change in under 11 minutes, Kenneth Ericsson was able to attack again. He set fastest time on the stage by 30 seconds. Franz Whitman did his best to fend off the charging Ericsson. He ended the leg just 41 seconds ahead. Possumbourne eased his pace as darkness fell, finishing the leg 3 minutes 30 seconds behind Whitman. Tony Teasdale struck major problems with the Ford on the stage, losing nearly 2 minutes to Paddy Davidson. Davidson was now fourth and headed Teasdale by 1 minute 54 seconds at the end of the leg. Ross Meekings found himself leading the 1300cc class by nearly 19 minutes when his main rival Mark Jennings retired on the last stage of the day. Meekings was 6th overall. Ken Adamson ended the day 8th overall and led the 1600cc class by over 22 minutes. More water confronted the cars on the next stage at Potu. The lead car of Bryce Platt gave the large crowd gathered something to cheer about. While the lead car crept away into the darkness, Kenneth Ericsson showed that the dam could be crossed safely. Japan's Hazu also took a shortcut across, but he did it without getting stuck. Service at Rotorua at the end of the second leg saw leading New Zealander Possumbourne feeling happy.
We've decided now just to ease off it slightly and keep going at that pace, so we're close enough if anything goes wrong and let them fight, you know. maybe we can. I don't wish any bad luck to either of them, but if we gain a place, if one loses a bit of time or something, well, I'll be happy with that. But I'd like to see them both finish, that's for sure.
The end of a long and demanding second leg saw Frans Whitman leading by 41 seconds from Kenneth Eriksson. Possum Bourne was 3 minutes 30 seconds behind the leader, but with a clear margin to Paddy Davidson in fourth. Tony Teasdale was close enough to Davidson to challenge in the final leg, and Ross Meekings had his 1300cc Corolla in an incredible 6th placing. The second leg continued the high attrition rate, with notable retirements being Neil Allport with transmission failure, Brian Stokes punctured after hitting a bank, Wayne Bell had a camshaft drive belt failure, while Graham Coey hit a parking meter on the Rotorua publicity stage. Surging Taguchi rolled his Group N Mazda, and Murray Walker drowned his Group N Suzuki in the Karioi Ford. Only 22 cars were left in the field. The first stage of the third and final leg saw Eriksson continue the attack. He again set fastest time, and he hoped his pressure would force Whitman to make a mistake. Whitman clung grimly to the lead he'd had since the end of the first leg, but Eriksson pegged it back to 40 seconds. Teasdale and Davidson continued the tussle for the fourth placing. Davidson trailed Bourne by over 10 minutes, but came under increasing pressure from Teasdale, who beat him by 8 seconds on the stage. Koichi Hazu was the only one of 6 Japanese entrants left in the field. He was 9th overall. Stuart Weaver was one of 4 Toyota Starlets left out of the 15 which started. He was second in his class to Ross Meekings. Special Stage 29 was a tortuous 24.7 kilometres through the Rotoehu Forest. Frans Whitman recorded fastest time, beating Kenneth Eriksson by 34 seconds, opening his lead to 1 minute 14 seconds. For Eriksson, the stage was disastrous. He broke a drive shaft and seemed to lose his last chance of catching Whitman. Possum Bourne was content to let the 2 front runners battle away. He was now over 4 minutes behind Whitman. Tony Teasdale continued to pressure Paddy Davidson, even if a little untidily. Teasdale beat Davidson by 9 seconds, reducing his deficit to 1 minute 37 seconds. David Officer began to chase Ross Meekings for the crucial 6th placing, which would give him a FISA B priority seating. The gap was only 41 seconds. Meekings continued to drive with his usual aggression. He was not going to give up his coveted 6th placing without a fight. Ken Adamson was in 8th position, 4 minutes behind David Officer, but nearly 25 minutes ahead of Dave Strong, who was 2nd in the 1600cc class in his tiny turbocharged Daihatsu Charade. Hazu broke a ball joint during the stage and lost nearly 20 minutes. He dropped a place to 10th overall.
Simon, you naughty boy!
Simon Davies seemed to want to take a shortcut through the forest. He was 12th overall. Franz Whitman didn't seem fazed by Ericsson's challenge. He set fastest time on stage 30. Ericsson continued to push to the limit. He could have eased off and been content with his 2nd placing, but the team were determined to try to secure their first ever World Championship win. So the pressure had to be maintained. Ericsson set fastest time on special stage 31. Paddy Davidson continued to fend off Tony Teasdale, although he lost another 24 seconds to him on stage 30. Differential problems on special stage 31 saw Davidson lose another 54 seconds to Teasdale. The gap closed to 19 seconds. For Davidson, however, it was all over in the next stage when his Nissan had a failure in the engine management system. David Officer continued to threaten Ross Meeking's 6th placing, closing the gap to 33 seconds on special stage 30. Meekings lost another 8 seconds to Officer on special stage 31, and suddenly his B priority seating was looking less secure. Simon Davies began challenging Hazoo for a top 10 spot. At the end of special 31, the gap was only 17 seconds. He passed Hazoo on the next stage to secure 9th placing overall. As the rally moved into its final stages, placings seemed to be established. Ross Meekings continued to drive superbly, managing to keep his Corolla ahead of Officer's Clarion Turbo. But on the second last stage in sight of the finish line, Meekings struck trouble.
Oh, wheel! Oh, he's off the bloody wheel.
Frantic efforts by spectators got him over the finish line.
Will get us out of here, eh?
The wheel was replaced in the control area, and Meekings completed the event, but was later excluded from the final results for his control area repair. With Meekings' exclusion, Stuart Weber found himself winner of the 1300cc class and an excellent 7th overall. Ken Adamson also benefited from Meekings' misfortune, moving up to 6th placing and securing a FISA B priority seating. He won the 1600cc class by 35 minutes. David Officer finally passed Meekings in Special Stage 32, and with Davidson's demise in that stage, found himself in 5th place. He was delighted not only to finish the event, but also to gain a B priority seating.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Tony Teasdale showed his many years of rallying experience by getting his Mazda to the finish. He attacked when necessary and eased back when conditions didn't suit. His 4th placing also secured him a FISA B priority seating. For Possum Bourne, this rally represented the fulfilment of many hopes. As New Zealand's only professional rally driver, he'd gained valuable experience in overseas events in recent years. This showed in his mature approach. Well, Possum's not quite over yet, but the most competitive leg is. How's it been today?
Pretty, I don't even know how to explain it. It's when you're trying to go a little bit slower and not quite flat out, it's harder than going fast, I think. You're always worried that you're not being hard on the car and that, because there was no chance to catch the guys in front of us. We just looked after the car and kept it going at a good, steady, fast pace, but not flat out.
Did you have any problems with the car doing that?
No, the car's gone like a dream today.
So how do you feel now? Looks like you've got the A priority rating. I mean, okay, one more leg just of driving. You must feel pretty rapt about the position, how you've ended up in the rally?
Oh yeah, fantastic. We started the rally with 3 hopes. 1 to finish, 2nd to be first New Zealander, and the 3rd to get an A seed, and we got the lot. You can't be happier than that.
Well done. Thanks, Possum.
Thanks.
Kenneth Eriksson showed what a talent he had in bringing the Golf GTI 16 valve home 2nd. Though the factory team may have been disappointed at not beating Whitman's Lancia, the disadvantages inherent in a 2-wheel drive vehicle meant things had to go exactly right to have a real chance of victory. The 2nd placing, however, did represent Kenneth Eriksson's best ever World Championship result. Kenneth, you really started to make ground on Franz in the latter stages of today. Did you really think you could catch him?
Yeah, sure, you must think like that all the time, but it's very difficult with a 2-wheel driven car. You cannot compare. It's 2 different things.
How did you like the roads today in this leg?
I like it very much. All the roads here in New Zealand, it's fantastic to drive. It's only that we need a 4-wheel driven car to next year.
Okay, thank you. Well done.
Thanks.
You happy with the result?
Sure, I'm happy.
Excellent. Thank you. For many, victory by Austrian Franz Wittmann came as a surprise. Although his Lancia was the outstanding vehicle in the field, Wittmann contests only a few rallies each year, and this suggested he may have lacked the hard edge of regular competition. That he held on to a lead he gained late in the first leg says much about his determination and skill, and his cherished A priority seeding and first World Championship win were well deserved. Well friends, how's today's leg been?
Today was very nice, and it was a big match between me and Kenneth Eriksson, and I think this is rally sport.
Did you feel the pressure a bit today because he started to make ground on you, didn't he? He started making ground on you, catching you.
Yes, Eriksson make a big attack, but I make the same, and so we go faster and faster.
Okay, thank you.
Goodbye.